Oh, we're live. Okay. All right, welcome back, guys. Sorry for the tech issues there. There's a common theme that I think a lot of live streamers have dealt with recently, which is just a random break, especially right when it begins. So, thank you for your patience. Our wonderful streaming host, Baresh, has things under control. In case it goes broken again, we will do it all over again and make sure to get back on as soon as possible. But as I was saying, this is a pretty big week in crypto with Bitcoin teasing very suddenly the 70K threshold once again. We are on a big climb and big upward trajectory over the past about 6 weeks now, going back to early September when we started to see signs of a rebound, and gradually things really have picked up steam. And of course, this isn't just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of the better performers in the markets, but as usual, it's far from the best. There are plenty of altcoins that have really surged, and we are okay. Thank you, Balresh, for putting in the new link in the announcements channel. Um, we are just seeing a ton of market cap gains across the board. Even MicroStrategy has really been taking off as of late. So there are a ton of stories we can cover, and we're I can already tell not going to be able to get through all of them, but we want to really talk about some of the big highlight stories. And before we jump into some of the metrics and the performances, I just want to highlight the new centralized exchange deposit dashboard that our staff member Alex was so kind to publish earlier this week. I think this is really cool. It's basically a tool that lets you sort by token if you'd like, uh, the largest centralized exchange deposits, percentage of market cap, which is a very big deal. You can see this screenshotted one with $400 million worth of USD coin that's good for about 1.15% of the entire market cap. So we're talking about a market cap of just under $40 billion, if I'm doing the correct on that. And over 1% of it moved in one single transaction to OKX. And uh, I'm just guessing, but I'm pretty sure this was a whale that contributed to the rise, right? Because stable coins moving to exchanges is generally a good thing. That's only really happening for one reason, and that's to buy more non-stable crypto. So that was a solid sign. And really, I think the way this can be used is, not just for your own personal exchange if you want to check liquidity, but you can really hone in on which coins are suddenly seeing a big outlier. You're going to see USD Coin, Tether, and even Ethereum as regulars on this dashboard because of their size. But you're going to see other obscure assets. Keep in mind they're going to be ETH-based assets only for now, but we could change that in the future. Um, but something like Chainlink or Polygon on the Ethereum network, or Shiba Inu, even there's so many different altcoins that can suddenly see a spike on this dashboard that might be highly useful for your trading and information and research, uh, to foreshadow what's happening next in the markets. Especially look at the sizes, right? If you see $400 million deposits to exchanges, that's probably a good sign that there might be some upward movement in the markets in the near future. It might be temporary, but I think these two in particular, $400 million and 320 million respectively, were pretty large moves that we just happened to screenshot as we were debuting this new dashboard. So really cool there. And shout out to Alex and all of our developers on the Santiment team who work so hard. Now, moving on to the market performances here. No surprise, as I've been talking about the positive performances over the past week, that we're just seeing a sea of green, especially meme coins, by the way, like Dogecoin, for example, up 24% in the past week. There has been so much focus on, Bonk and Floki and um, Whiff. Even Shiba Inu's had its moment. But Dogecoin has kind of been, under the radar, if that's possible, for the meme coin sector. It really hasn't had an isolated breakout like this in quite some time, and seeing it go up by uh, just about 25% is a pretty big milestone. Even though all of markets are up, Dogecoin, as you can see, is the best performer among the top 100 market caps right now. So great story right there. And it's far from the only one. Like Bitcoin, for example, we said it was one of the better performers, and that's no lie. Up 10.3% in 1 week. That's somewhat rare. We don't see that a lot. And when it does happen, altcoins tend to follow. We'll dive into this later in the call, but I'm foreshadowing, assuming Bitcoin can keep its upward trajectory or even just maintain this 68 to 69K level. Altcoins can be the biggest benefactors over the next week. So I'd keep that in mind. Of course, though, there are so many factors that can change things on a dime. And one thing that I'm taking a look at is the social mentions and how excited the crowd is leaning right now. You can see a very clear, let me make this a shit now. We'll make it, that's so weird that 50 to 59 is so much heavier. That doesn't even seem right. But I'll leave it as a non-shared axis for now. Just take a look at the uptick in 70 to 79K mentions on social media and how they really started to blast off on the 15th. They're still quite high, and 50 to 59 has kind of just maintained itself. I wouldn't be surprised if this is related to something else, like something else that might be getting spammed. But for whatever reason, 50 to 59K has kind of just been flat for the past 3 months for whatever reason. But I think this is the important one to keep an eye on. If 70 to 79K really starts to get spammed today, as we approach that number, it could end up being a short-lived 70 to 79K visit for Bitcoin because the crowd is getting a little too hyped. Now, of course, it's one thing if we just pass 70K and everyone is informing one another that we've hit 70, but if it's a bunch of people that are just getting that FOMO fever and putting out those huge, huge numbers with their targets to sell, right? Or targets to profit take, or I think Bitcoin will be at 78K by Monday, right? If that starts to really spam, that could be a signal that we are getting a little too positive with our sentiment, and corrections become much more likely if the crowd is hyped. Now, I'm not seeing any sign of that yet. This spike right here, if you can see my screen, I'll zoom in a little more. This was a concern to me, but unlike most times, Bitcoin kind of just kept climbing. There was a short-term correction right here, but it's continuing to go up. And I think one of the biggest reasons is this chart right here. So whales and sharks have really gone nuts over the past week. We go back to exactly 1 week ago, October 11th. And during that time, the 10 plus BTC wallets have accumulated 8746 more BTC. That's a much bigger increase than we usually see. As you can basically visualize, the last time we've really seen this kind of upward trajectory was back in mid-May. And you see what happened to Bitcoin's price here in these dark green bars right after the bright green line started to really incline at an aggressive pace. So we're seeing similar right now. And as long as the 10 plus BTC wallets are moving in the right direction, I'm excited to see where this rally ends up. Look for the next, call it 24 to 72 hours as critical moments where the 10 plus BTC wallets may decide to take some profit here and move back down or start to flatten out. But for now, it's a very strong sign that this rally is being supported by the key stakeholders that are heavily involved. Now I'm going to take a break here. I think Maksim has joined us, my friend. Are you with us?
Yes. It's a good point you are mentioning. I was on a talk with our dev side, And I didn't look, I think last day a bit more, the same chart, but select small groups, 201 to 101, and then 101 to 1. You will see very interesting picture. No, bigger group. The next one. Yeah,
this one and this one.
This one and this one. Next one. So,
okay.
Please. So it's at the same time when you say whales accumulating, these are dumping.
Yep.
They're increasing right into the growing, and that's been quite often the case indeed for just look the previous time. When was it? 20th of September was the same. 20th of September, yeah. So they're selling. They will change their behavior close to the top. So it's indeed probably one of the metrics you only need to watch now. Well, there are a few others, but this is a key metric you really need to check every day now. Will it change the behavior? Will they, we see accumulation again on small and super small wallets? As long as we don't see it, all good. It can keep growing.
Yeah, this is a great signal. I think it's hard to find a better combination than whales and sharks accumulating while retail traders are dumping, right? Because that's just more money that's going into those whale and shark wallets. And really the equation for why crypto moves up or moves down is as simple as key stakeholders moving up and the crowd having disbelief. Those are the two main properties that we're constantly trying to capture at Santiment, and our community members use all of these tools and metrics and charts to really answer those two questions at any given time. Are whales pumping and are retail traders showing doubt? And if both of those are yeses, markets tend to rise and move in the right direction quickly.
Yes, and then just like on chain and the social, we always try to identify if there is a consensus around any topic, like really widespread, for whatever, be it positive or negative. In general, for market, then it's great. The moment we have consensus that the whole market can only go up among 80% of people, then well, you have the strongest sell signal ever. Or across some coins. Sometimes you get coins which are being heavily criticized, like now Ethereum. That's why I still think Ethereum is kind of undervalued towards others. It's been getting quite now not so extreme, but there was a time like during the week was extreme negative sentiment. And this typically a sign when asset is being criticized or seen negatively, it will outperform. Question of time. Yeah. Right now, 3 days. Ethereum is big, so it might take a few weeks to really start playing it out.
Yeah.
And then you have the general, I'd say minimal, but sometimes it's enough set of on-chain metrics, see what small big are doing, and social metrics, what are top narrative topics and how dominant they are they shared by how big amount of people. And you are so good in markets that, of course, then you need discipline to apply it, which I sometimes also don't have. So don't blame yourself if you even understand, but you don't do it. It happens to all of us. But at least you build your knowledge about the market regularly, like day after day, week after week. And there will be time when you just act automatically just because you've seen it so many times.
Yeah, I think at the moment, all eyes are on Bitcoin. We can see it as the #1 trending topic in crypto, and that's not always the case. So tons and tons of people are really speculating on will it or won't it in terms of its 70K cross, and that's by the end of this work week, by the next 8 to 10 hours or so. If we see Bitcoin crossing, there's going to be quite a lot of hype, and if it happens over the weekend, I'm sure people will still be excited, but there won't be quite as much social media banter because the weekend has it always suppresses the amount of social volume by a little bit. Regardless, though, I mean, right below that, Dogecoin is the #2 topic, which we just talked about being the best performer among the top 100 market caps over the past week. According to the AI summary we have, it says users are sharing personal experiences related to buying, selling, and holding Dogecoin, reflecting on financial gains and losses. The speculative nature of meme coins like Doge is highlighted with excitement and caution expressed about its future. Additionally, significant price increases driven by public endorsements, particularly Elon, and positive market sentiment have contributed to the rising interest. So it's kind of a generic summary as to what's going on, but Doge is kind of back on people's radars for the first time in quite a while. Even though it's the number one meme coin, it's kind of been suppressed a little bit by some of the smaller meme coins that have been better performers throughout 2024.
And I remember, switch on to the camera, that you've been posting about Doge quite a few times last week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How was it perceived, or people, what did they say? How did they react to our tweets? And what metrics did you use?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't have my Twitter up on my Chrome browser at the moment, but I put up just a few days ago. There's this one, for example, just reporting middle of the week that meme coins were really starting to gain some traction. A lot of people kind of wrote it off. One person said, oh, well, this will end well, right? To kind of imply that this might be a top signal, which I don't blame them. I think that there's legitimate reason to be worried about a visual like this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's correct. Quite often this is the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of shifted by 2 or 3 days. When was it, this dominance of outperformance of meme coins? When was it?
Yeah, this was posted on Wednesday, just 2 days ago.
Okay. Then theoretically, I've seen maximum in the past cycles 5 days after meme coins outperformance that the market tops. We can't. And but as we mentioned in the beginning, small hold loss of Bitcoin, it's now really critical to see when they're back start increasing. But if that was the case, and I realize it's not all meme coins. It's it's rotating. Now it's rotating among new coins. There was a hype around Murat meme coins, but I think some of them are declining, or not taking new highs for quite some time. So it's kind of very interesting.
Well, I saw a theory that meme coins, to an extent, are a little bit based on how Doge performs now. It's kind of like Ethereum and the lower ETH-based assets that depend on ETH's performance. There's a little bit of an element of, Floki, Bonk, even Shiba, like they're all dependent on Doge doing pretty well itself. Yes, they get plenty of profit redistributions from Bitcoin going up, but I wouldn't be surprised. And some people have put out this theory that a lot of the next couple of weeks are smaller meme coins pumping as a result of the Doge profits.
Oh, sure. Or they use it as a chance. Let's say it does reflect a little bit elevated optimism, or optimism. It's not correct word. Readiness to take risk, which implies optimism too. But really, you see, okay, there is not so much fearful factors around, so I can take risk. And of course, why do you take it for Bitcoin? I mean, how much can you move? And meme coins, okay, you pull on your lottery ticket and you hope for the best. And there are really a lot. You remember we researched recently this Turbo coin. It also did Turbo move. In both.
ChatGPT generated Turbo, yeah.
And some of our team members knew it. I didn't know it. And there are, I think, dozens of these coins, which are indeed could bring excitement always to some group of people. Yeah. And this
Absolutely.
One, yeah, this in front for Doge, what does it show? What do we see?
Yeah, so this is the amount of non-empty wallets of Doge. And we saw this huge plummet going back to last Sunday and Monday. And I posted about this on Tuesday, showing there was just this massive drop. Some people said it was due to a merge to Neiro, Neiro, and many people moving their Doge to Neiro. I don't know if that's simply a preference thing, or if there's some actual network activity that involves, some mandated movement there. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I just know that it's a kind of new dog name from someone who.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I mean, I'm not following meme culture too closely, but I heard a little bit.
Right.
Do we have on-chain data for Nero?
Yeah, I think we do. I saw it when I checked after someone mentioned it. So it's just called there's Narrow Ethereum and First Nero on Ethereum. I think we want to look at this one here. And we do have on-chain data for it.
I'm ashamed to acknowledge I don't know which one we need to pick up.
Yeah, because they have the same label. They're both under the ticker Narrow, and they have different prices too. So it's tricky, but I would assume it's this one. And then this one is kind of.
Max, maybe you know? Which one do we need to pick up? Actually. Oh, you are not in the docs?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite new. It's only existed since August 1st. So we've only had about 2.5 months to really have this on our radar, but some people were mentioning it. I think it's just people hyping it up and spamming Nero to get people interested in it when they read about Doge. But I still found this to be a very good sign. Some people didn't realize this was a bullish signal, so I cleared it up. And certainly the next 3 days after this was posted, we just saw a continued surge from Doge, and it ended up being the best performer of the week. So look for stuff like this, just as we saw for Bitcoin with retail traders dropping off, not quite this steep, but they're dropping off as well. Key stakeholders are moving up, and that's a dynamic signal when it comes to prices potentially moving in the right direction. So this ended up being a nice one for us.
Yeah, there should be Nero, which current price is around 0.2 cent.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Another one. Then
so that's this one, First Nero on Ethereum.
Yes.
And we have on-chain data on that as well.
Cool. Can you check amount of non-empty addresses if it's really the case that they flew there?
Yeah, so it's moving in the right direction. I mean, I shouldn't say right direction, but there are a lot more than there were just a couple weeks ago. It's flattened out a bit over the past week, though, probably because people are back on the Doge train a little.
But it looks so far healthy. It's keep increasing. Can we see daily active addresses? Or you can take active addresses 24 hours, so it's also okay.
I'll put that in here.
Let's see if we can come out during the stream with some prediction for this coin.
So here's active addresses on a 24-hour basis.
Hello, one. Okay, that doesn't look so good. And social dominance? I'm just not sure. Current social dominance is probably built on social volume, not on social volume UI. We're moving it. Okay, move. Okay, that's healthy. That's quite good. Well, actually, that's quite good. Does it come too close to 1% on peaks or not yet?
Not really. These spikes, it gets to 0.78% when they're really high.
Because anything above 1, especially 2%, it's already very suspicious. But allow below 1, and it's a kind of keep attracting. And can you apply trading volume just to see if we will see declining volumes, or will it be still okay? No, actually looks healthy, I would say. You see, network growth is still there, even if activity is low. Trading volume keep growing, social dominance keep spiking. They did not lose momentum yet. We can check maybe a supply distribution. Yeah, that will be interesting. If it's 0.2 cent, so retail is everything, let's say below $100. So $100, how much we need? 10,000?
It looks like they're showing negative numbers, so there might be something wonky going on here.
Pity. Okay. Maybe share a screenshot to our data science team so they can look.
Will do.
Yeah, sometimes these new coins, there could be some interesting side effects. Okay. But we went too deep into specific coin. It just shows that meme coins still spiking. Yeah, it's a dodgy situation. Sorry for the double meaning. In the situation.
Doji, very doji.
Very dodgy. We really need to keep looking to small hodlers in Bitcoin. If they turn around and go up, that will be the top, yeah. But not yet. As we saw, they keep declining. So as long as people don't move their hardly earned money back to Bitcoin, that can keep happening, just coming from one coin to another.
Right. And I'm just curious, I'm going to compare Dogecoin's total holders to Nero. Yeah, I mean, there's been, if we zoom in here just to when Nero became relevant, here's Doge and here's Nero. So they are kind of moving in opposite directions. You can see on this rally, Doge has really started to climb again, but overall, they've kind of reversed as Nero has risen. Keep in mind they're on completely different axes, though, if we do that, right? So we're just looking at highs to lows on both of them. But yeah, there's a little bit of cannibalization from Nero in regards to Doge. I still think it's very new and it will need a few very large pumps to really get on people's mainstream radars, though. All right. So let's see on other things. Take a look at trending coins here. No surprise at all that Bitcoin and Doge are leading the way. If it wants to refresh for me. There we go. So Bitcoin here at number one. We'll look at sentiment in a moment. I like to look at the sentiment on Sandbase instead, but we talked about why both of them are trending. Here we have GOAT, Goatius Maximus, the latest in meme coin lore, reflects the merging of AI and meme culture and crypto. So I get that it has a little bit of AI integration involved. It says GOAT is positioned as a pioneering meme coin that merges AI with meme culture, and it sparked interest among investors. Strong community support, meme culture and speculation, strategic partnerships and listings, listed on BTSE and endorsed from influential figures. I wonder who. It's also linked to other promising tokens like TDOG, which I also am unfamiliar with. I'm just way behind on this meme coin lore here. But yeah, overall, it seems to be gaining a lot of traction, even though its price has been nothing special compared to some of the others on this list. Now, DIA has been a huge pumper, so I'm not shocked to see that it's really starting to pump. It recently went over $1 for the first time, and it's getting a lot of traction due to its price. And yeah, go ahead.
No, finish.
And it appears to be focused on decentralized Oracle solutions. So it also has a collaboration with GOAT Network, indicating active community engagement. So the two seem to be paired in some respects.
What I mean here, when you look on this visualization, it shows that the sentiment is not extremely bullish. It's above medium. So I wonder, in a bearish summary, what do they write as a potential bearish reasons?
So bearish summary says, concerns expressed on Reddit, Telegram, and Twitter, criticized Dia's market performance, highlighting a significant decline. That sounds like a delayed explanation because it's been on the rise. Concerns regarding the transparency and governance of the project. Okay, that makes a little more sense. So people are a little weary because of its lack of transparency. Broader market trends and regulatory uncertainties in the crypto space. That's just a general critique and concern about crypto in general. But yeah, it looks like the main thing that people are worried about are the lack of transparency.
Okay. Interesting.
Clay is up here. Yeah, go ahead.
Far away from all-time high. I don't know. What is the DIA price?
Let's check it out. If we zoom out, looks like it's at an all-time high, unless it is a really old coin. Oh, it is an older coin. Let's see. So yeah, this actually ended up hitting an all-time high way back when Bitcoin initially had that first all-time high above 60K. But it had been pretty dead for, it looks like, all the way up until the beginning of 2024. Then it had a slight rise, dropped back down, looked dead again, and then over the past 2 months, it's been on this huge charge where the coin has more than doubled in market value. Very interesting. Look at the metrics here. So daily active addresses just went nuts. Let me zoom out on the price a little bit. Daily active addresses just had huge spikes at the beginning of October, about 2.5 weeks ago. Then it settled down a little bit, and now it's rising once again.
3 months time.
This is okay. So 3 months to zoom in a little more.
Just to see if we experience in divergence. Okay, hard to say. Might make a new high in network activity too.
Yep. We can see that it's definitely trending again because social dominance is very high. Trading volume is very high at the moment. So people are very much recognizing the DIA surge that's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of short-term chasers in crypto right now. This still gives me a bit of hesitation, not just on 70K, which I do think will happen very soon, but the all-time high is a different story. Getting to 74K, that usually happens when there's a little less hype around meme coins and the latest shit coins out there that are suddenly surging. It's usually a focus on Bitcoin a lot more than it is right now, even though Bitcoin is the #1 trending token. Like DOGE and DIA, like there are a lot of very speculative assets that are right behind it in social dominance right now. So it's just a very interesting setup in the moment. And we do see other assets like Clay, Coin, literally Meme. The meme token is at #7, Lumia, UMA, and then another meme coin, Floki. Flame of Floki and its token symbol FOF. So there's just meme coins being built off of meme coins right now. And, for all we know, that's the new normal. It's not like this is a criticism of crypto. Crypto is what it is, and people are going to make the sector into whatever they want. And right now, Flame of Floki is trending due to Floki's own recognition as a top 5 meme coin. So yeah, it looks like there's just a lot of speculative assets up at the top right now, but it's being led by Bitcoin, where we can now check out its sentiment a little bit. I want to look at the positive versus sentiment ratio, which is rapidly becoming one of my favorite simple calculations. So this is a template I have for just positive versus negative total comments across social media. And right now it's just organized by Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And you're always going to see much more drastic swings from lower cap assets. Solana is a very high market cap, but still much lower than Bitcoin. If you see more than double the amount of positive comments for Bitcoin, like we did, let's see, that was almost double, 1.96 bullish for every 1 bearish. And then this one was right at double here in September. But prices kept going up anyways, which I find fascinating. And then Solana was really getting a ton of traction. It's cooled off a little bit. It's still climbing because the rest of crypto is. But when it was really getting a ton, of hype, like here, here, and here, it saw corrections at all three stages. And then Ethereum is always kind of in the middle. I don't see it seeing any sort of crazy bullishness right now. Let me take a look at the other one, which is positive negative sentiment multiplied by social dominance. There we go. So generally anything, I'm just kind of eyeballing, but anything above here is where Bitcoin kind of gets a bit dicey. We saw the latest one happen right before this top on October 15th, but it was very short-lived top because people ended up getting very negative shortly after. This was the biggest extreme back in July 27th, right before the big top.
Yeah, I would say this is a kind of can be considered as a signal, really clear, strong sign. Yeah. The others are only few. Yeah. Well, which is definition of signal. It cannot happen like every day, not every week. Yeah, it's just on different data sources you have different data anomaly signals, and that was the one. Yeah. And not surprisingly, after this, price corrected quite a bit. I mean, that was the most heavy and rapid crash. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then a week later, we saw the huge negative spike. This meant that there were more bearish comments than bullish comments when factoring in the overall amount of comments as well. So social dominance should be factored in. And I do like this as a slightly better signal than just looking at the positive versus negative by themselves. So you have to factor in the volume. But the two times that it went very negative were like the best times of the year to buy Bitcoin and all of crypto. So I definitely keep an eye on this chart in particular for Bitcoin. It can give a lot of foresight. And as long as we're not going above this number, consider the number arbitrary, but basically anything over about 20, 21 on this chart. Yeah, that's about where we see corrections most of the time, especially if it's an extreme like over 30. All right, besides that, okay, we touched on the centralized exchange dashboard. Now we'll take a quick look at the ETF volumes, and pretty soon we're going to have net inflows and outflows, which I know is a very key metric a lot of people have been focusing on.
Like
but quiet,
all of them.
Sorry?
Like aggregated across all ETF providers, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, because that's really key. We have volume data, which is great, but being able to know how much of the coins are moving in versus out of the ETFs can really be an added element to supplement all of our on-chain and social analysis. So I'm excited to get that. In terms of volume, though, it quietly had about a 2.5 month high with over $3 billion of volume on October 14th. I would presume that that was a lot more inflow than outflow, considering what happened to prices shortly after this. But we haven't seen a number that big since the crash, the huge crash on August 4th, where it went over $5 billion. And keep in mind, this is only factoring in the top 7 ETFs. So there's actually 3 others out there besides these 7 listed. And just to take a quick look at a few inflow and outflows for individual ETFs, because we do have that. So Fidelity's ETF, big inflow on October 14th. I'm looking specifically on the 14th. And yes, there was a huge outflow the week before, but that huge volume day on the 14th, we see one big inflow day here. See, some of them will refresh to current days. Others are a bit laggy at the moment. Yeah, this one we have another big inflow day from Bitwise. So 2 for 2. Okay, this was no, just kidding. Yeah, 14th was another inflow day, but right before it was a massive outflow day of $70 million. Wow. We have BlackRock. if this one is a big inflow day too, I'm convinced that that volume on the 14th, which was Monday, was very much related to just massive amounts of um, money moving into ETFs in general. Yeah, this one isn't refreshing all the way to the 14th, unfortunately. We're going to get this hashed out, and the lack of real-time data will be sorted over time. So don't worry, guys. Oh, and GBTC is obviously the OG one. We were talking about this on our market talk yesterday internally, and GBTC is kind of the OG ETF that has massive fees. So generally, people are moving money out of it. We see some days where it's very close to an inflow day, but we really haven't seen any inflow days toward GBTC since the 9 new ETFs were introduced. So
One,
expect this to always be the case. Go ahead, Maxim.
no, one-way road.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this day. On a single day, July 29th, $2 billion flowed out of GBTC. Anyways, so don't forget about our ETF dashboard, guys. It's a really helpful feature that gives an extra layer of data for you on top of everything we have on chain. A few other things, and I know we have a few questions to close out the call. Social trends. Oh, yeah, it's over here now. Crypto narratives. So if we go to explore the narratives, we can see, is this updated? I can't tell if it's, I think our latest date might still be October 10th here. So this hasn't updated yet. So a lot of the stuff is still about Satoshi and the HBO doc that was dominating last week's subjects.
Yep.
Italy was also another big topic. So if I go to trending words, or just the social trends dashboard, that is, and I right here at the top is where you can type it in now. And I just type in Italy or tax. Yeah, interestingly, it's not quite as big of a spike as we saw back here in late August, where there was more speculation. Now it seems more as though it's getting close to confirmation. So there was another big spike, and I put out an article that kind of summed up the crowd's reaction to it. Find it. Here we go. Italy's saying ciao to crypto gains. So this is just a headline from readers that we captured, and you can see some of the reactions. Italy chose to stay poor. And then this person corrected, I think rightfully so, and said politicians decide to keep poor. So it's one of those initiatives that keeps the rich rich and the poor through, massive profits having to go to the government if you live in Italy. This person lives in Italy, and they're saying that it's a shit show, and the country is just a dying country, which is sad to hear. Nexo used it as an opportunity to kind of show their crypto-backed credit lines they've had since 2018. And then this meme I found funny. When you get scammed, you're on your own. When your investment depreciates, it's your fault. But when you earn something, you have to pay them almost half of it. And you see Italy, 42% cap gain tax on Bitcoin. Why everyone's leaving. So people are not happy about it. I know it's Italy's kind of a mid-range country when it comes to crypto trading, but it's not so much about Italy itself. It's about the precedent and how, if there isn't resistance to these kinds of initiatives, other countries may adopt these same policies for taxes and greatly impact the upside to trading and owning crypto in the first place. So that's why I think this is an important story to follow. And I recommend people check out the short article I put out. We'll have more coverage if there's any new developments that come from it. Okay. Maxim, any topics you want to touch on before we address a few questions in chat?
No. I mean, better keep what we mentioned so it stays in focus, what to pay attention. We can cover other things like stable coins next week.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm interested in diving into what's happening on the stable end, but
yeah.
Balresh, maybe you can remind me of those two assets that people had. I know one was Phantom, right?
What is NAKA?
NAKA. Okay. We'll start with Phantom and we'll take a look at, I'm curious, NAKA we do have data on, right? Kind of an obscure asset. And we do, yeah. It's interesting. We don't have transaction volume, but we do have active addresses and some other things. All right, we'll do Phantom first and do a brief stop at NAKA. So Phantom is the 46th ranked market cap asset. It's definitely made a name for itself in the last couple of years. It actually really started to take off in 2021 as Solana was emerging. So they definitely have a little correlation there. But Phantom's transaction volume really spiked back on Monday, and shortly after it hit a local top. I'm curious if I add its price versus Bitcoin, we'll get a clearer picture. We'll just have it as this red line. Let's go just the past month.
Andrei Cronje still didn't dump it? Is he still engaged, say?
I mean, maybe he did. Who knows? We can see how.
No, I mean,
how much
still developing it, yeah. Holdings.
Yeah. But if we look since the 15th, over the past 3 days, Phantom has dropped 11% versus Bitcoin, which a lot of coins have because Bitcoin has been one of the better performers. But it does look like this transaction volume spike did signal some toppy action going on there. In terms of address activity, I'm not seeing anything too special, just zooming out to 3 months. Yeah, it's not the biggest spike in the world. Social dominance, there was a big spike, similar to what we saw in mid-September right here, right before the top occurred a couple days or 1 day later. This one occurred pretty much right at the social dominance spike. Volume is up a little, but nothing too exciting. So MVRV, not too scary at the moment. It's only at about plus 2.5% for 30-day average traders, indicating we're pretty much in a neutral territory. We're not overheated by any means. And then the 365-day MVRV, a little more concerning at plus 13%, but still not at an extreme level I'd be too worried about. So Phantom does have room to continue running based on average trading returns not being excessive right now. Funding rates have been normal, nothing too extreme in either directions outside of this very short-term short, which was actually the largest short we saw in over 3 months. Whale transactions, here we go. So there's something going on here that just happened. Thank you, Balresh. I see the Athena request as well. So 12 whale transactions over $1 million that happened right before the top. This tells me we were definitely seeing some profit taking happening there. Let's take a look at supply distribution to confirm that. So if we look at some of the higher end tiers here, yeah, 1 million to 10 million Phantom holders did take a big drop here on the 13th, about 5 days ago. We go any higher, yeah, it's not too crazy. That the 1 million to 10 million is just only one tier. The price is sitting at about 72 cents. So if we just go like anywhere from, we'll call it 100K or more, I don't think they're really dumping too much based on the ones I'm seeing. Yeah, I mean, it's just a slight move down as the coin continues to get distributed. Let's see if it looks any better if we go 1 million or more. Or even one more, 10 million or more. Okay, I think the 10 million or more is probably the most relevant for alpha. And it's kind of just been moving up and down, holding just about 4 out of every 5 coins on the network. So I don't see anything too scary there, but this whale transaction spike here certainly did foreshadow something was likely to happen, most likely a top, and that is what happened, at least for now. Anything else special? A little bit of dormant activity. This corresponds with that whale transaction spike. But mostly the dormant coins are continuing to stay dormant at this time. I'm not seeing enough of a drawdown to be too excited about that. Big realized profit loss spike also occurred. And Maxim, to clarify, you generally see this as a positive sign, right? For the coin to continue to move up.
Yeah. On the growing price, yes.
Yeah. So this definitely happened. Mm-hmm.
Actually, on both, if you see it, dormant circulation, it typically happens in around middle or close to bottom or at the bottom, or when it increasing price after prolonged decline before, then it means scared or those who waited long enough start taking profit. So it's generally, in both cases, it's a kind of good sign. Just the timing is different. In a declining price, you have window of opportunity, which is a bit shorter. On a growing price, it's a bit longer, but sign is good. Yeah.
Definitely. Supply and exchanges also took a big drop here, interestingly. So during that big dormant move and the realized profit, it looked like a lot of people moving coins off exchanges, which is a good sign generally. And you can see social dominance also spiked right at that top. Anything else? Development activity looks fine. It's certainly being worked on by its dedicated team, getting about 15 notable GitHub events per day. RSI looks a little overheated right now at 61, but certainly nothing too scary. And then the total holders is still climbing, but not at an aggressive rate. So overall, I think the picture toward Phantom shows a healthy amount of growth, nothing that would indicate it's going to see a major correction larger than any other altcoins if Bitcoin were to crash. I do like that the MVRV is in a healthy range, that what was it? That the supply and exchanges is staying very low, and that the whales are kind of just bouncing up and down, more up than down, I should say, as of late. So things look fine for Phantom, and I appreciate the recommendation there. Let's take a look at NAKA and then see if we have time for that E token. What was it? Athena. So NAKA is not performing particularly well. It's sitting at about $1.16. Compared to Bitcoin, it's definitely dropped pretty significantly since September 30th, down 24%. In terms of its daily active addresses, nothing too aggressive right now. It's staying pretty neutral with about, we'll call it, take out a few of these lines here. Daily active addresses is seeing anywhere between 300 to 400 per day right now. Trading volume is definitely on the decline. What do you think of this, Maxim, when you see just a consistently declining volume for an asset?
It's nothing bad. It's okay. Taking into account that trading volume anyway, I'm only interested or looking to interested to spot divergences close to top, otherwise, or sudden dumps, which would indicate maybe market maker or project state market maker to remove liquidity because of fear. This is only patterns I'm looking to.
Mm-hmm.
Trading volume is much too manipulated.
And then whale transactions, we did see this isolated spike here, but this is a very small asset. So this was 5 transactions that exceeded $1 million or more. Certainly nothing I would get too excited about. And it didn't really make much of a difference on the price either.
Yep.
But here's probably the best analysis we can give on the supply distribution end. So NAKA is about a little over $1 at the moment. We'll take a look at anywhere between, We'll go 100K or more. Really going down fast.
Doesn't look good.
No. So yeah, the yellow line is what we're taking a look at here. So coins that hold, oh, it's also in a negative value range. So maybe take this with a grain of salt.
But maybe the trend is shown.
Accurate. Yeah. So we're going with the assumption that this data is accurate, even though it's showing wonky numbers. But compared to, basically, it's being measured against itself. So if it's going down, that still should be an accurate portrayal of how the whales are behaving. And right now, they are definitely dumping more so than accumulating. And you can even see the smallest tier is actually accumulating. So if we go to like total holders, yeah. So this is not a good combination. NAKA's small holders are definitely pumping up the amount of non-empty wallets, while the whales are dumping pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
This is one of the more bearish signals I've seen in a while for this metric. So I'm not going to go boldly on a coin I don't even know much about and say, oh, this is definitely going to dump. But based on what we know, this is a concern for me, Maxim, that NAKA's key stakeholders.
There seem to be some tendency to issue selling pressures or to probably get depressed here.
Yeah. But thank you for the NAKA suggestion, not a coin that we've really looked at in a long time. And we'll close out with just a quick jump to Athena. And Athena's been performing pretty well, especially over the past week. Going back to the bottom here on the 10th, its price versus Bitcoin is up 46%. So it's been performing extremely well here over the past 8 days or so. Its actual USD price difference is up 58% over that span. So looking for some signals that we might be seeing a top. I don't see anything on the transaction volume end. If we go to volume, yeah, it definitely had a huge spike here right before it topped, but it's climbing again today. Active addresses hasn't been too crazy, which is a good sign. I'm not seeing crazy FOMO at the moment. It got almost 3,000 active addresses 1 week ago, last Friday. Let's take a look at MVRV. Some assets don't have intraday MVRV, so we're just going to look at regular MVRV instead. 30-day is huge. 365-day is not as scary, but still high. Yeah, this is a concern. Average trading returns are starting to go pretty nuts in terms of profits. 40% on average for the any addresses that have been active in the past 30 days. They're up an average of 40%, and that's massive. So to me, this is a sign that we're pretty overheated on Athena right now. It doesn't mean the rally can't continue a little further, but we have not seen many points in history where altcoins, especially ones that have existed for multiple years like Athena has. Let's see when it started. I've heard about it for a while. Maybe not. Or we only have data since March. Does anyone know how long Athena has existed as a publicly traded coin? If it's only since March, then I stand corrected. Maybe this is just a very new coin, which would... It is that new? It's only existed since March?
Yeah, possible. I'm not sure. I don't remember when exactly the data dropped, but maybe it was around the date.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Santiment's really good at getting full historical data for any ERC20 asset. So I'll assume this is correct. With that said, it's not as scary that we're seeing such a high 30-day MVRV because it's such a small sample size. If it was a multi-year established coin, then this would be a huge anomaly that would suggest an immediate correction. But oftentimes with newer coins, when there aren't that many addresses yet, you can see crazy plus 70%, plus 100%, 30-day MVRVs because it's such a new and raw asset that has a small sample of addresses that can skew data drastically. And if we look at total holders, yeah, so it crossed over 40K non-empty wallets just about 2 months ago, and it's still growing pretty rapidly now. Um, Man, it had a huge fall off. It actually started off all the way up at about $1.47 back in April. And in the 6 months since, even with this recent rally, the price is down about 71%. But it's all relative, right? Because if we look in the past 9 days, it's up 62%. So
Yeah.
it looks like it's on an uptrend. I'm still concerned, even though it's a new coin, that the average returns are as high as they are. We may need to see at least a temporary local top for that to cool down, and maybe even the total holders having something like this go on where it drops a little bit as a sign that the FOMO isn't so high. One final thing on Athena that we can look at is that same chart that we looked at for Bitcoin earlier in the call right here. Let's make sure there's no axis restrictions. Okay, so this is positive versus negative sentiment multiplied by social dominance. We saw a big spike right here on October 11th. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so big spike here. That didn't really seem to slow the project down, at least for a couple days, and then we saw its local top here. But generally, you want to avoid spikes like this where there's 4 times as many bullish posts as there are bearish. And I'm just curious, let's take a look at the other two recommended assets. So NAKA, nothing special. It was seeing a lot more crazy bullish sentiment when it was on its rally in August, but it's cooled down now. And then Phantom actually did see a pretty huge spike. So right here, there were about 3.5 times as many bullish posts as there were bearish posts. So that was a pretty clear sign we were seeing a top. And just as a bonus, here is Ethereum. It's seeing a few spikes here and there, but nothing quite as scary as we saw back in July when it was really topping out. And you can see all the crazy bullish and euphoric sentiment that was hovering around the coin back then. And then Solana. Solana did see a pretty huge spike. This is the largest spike we've seen in the past 3 months for Solana, and it happened right at the top. So that's no coincidence there. Chainlink, because I know there's always some members of the Link army here. Look at Chainlink. It's really dropped off actually over the past 11-ish days. It went from some overwhelmingly high positive versus negative sentiment spikes to a little more normal. So I don't know if this is bot accounts that were really pushing up the bullish sentiment for a long time, but it's normalized a lot.
You would start asking the question when you see it. It looks like a little bit social wash trading.
Yes, 100%. And, the Link army is always one of the strongest and most vocal on X, at least. And I've long since wondered how many of these people are real. And I know there are a ton of real Chainlink fans out there, but this suggests there's some social data manipulation going on to potentially artificially get people to be swayed in either direction.
Yep.
But anyways, that's a good comprehensive hour of discussion about the markets, guys. I hope this was helpful to you. We jumped into a lot of different things. Let us know even after this call, or if you're watching on replay, what you'd like us to show more of in the future. And Maksim, thank you for joining today, my friend.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Was nice to look also from your eyes, from your angle. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to doing it again next week. And on behalf of the Santiment team, guys, thanks for continuing to support us. And fingers crossed for the vast majority of you that are rooting for 70K BTC that we see that cross in the next few days here.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.